This is a demonstration of the e-invoice outbound process. To enable the electronic invoicing functionality, log in as an administrator to install the electronic invoicing app. Navigate to the Applications Config menu. Click the App Management menu to open the list of available apps. Search for the electronic invoicing app and install it. Confirm installation. Log out. Now to use the electronic invoicing functionality, log in as an accountant so you can operate on invoices. Navigate to the Invoice module menu. Open the Cust Invoices menu to see all customer invoices. Select the invoice you wish to operate on and open it. On the invoice form, click the E-Invoice Validation button. This is to validate the invoice against certain e-invoice rules based on selected validation profile. On the pop-up which opens, click on the Validation Profile field to select the profile to validate this invoice against from the list which comes up. In our case, we want to validate against the Zugpferd EN 16931 profile. Proceed by clicking the Validate button. This gives a result of one validation error detected. Click OK to close the pop-ups. You are routed to the E-Invoice Validation tab on the invoice form, which shows a list of all e-invoice validation errors detected during the validation. Click one of the records to see it detailedly. This shows a detailed view of a validation error detected during the validation, with a description of the issue. Close the view. The error encountered describes a missing delivery address since the invoice is not a down payment invoice and thus requires that information. So, navigate to the Delivery panel and set a delivery address for this invoice. Save the changes. Now proceed to validating again against the same profile. Click Zugpferd EN 16931. Click Validate. The validation error has been fixed. Different validation profiles will yield different validation errors. On the E-Invoice Validation tab, the validation error is now gone. Once sure the invoice is fully valid for an Zugpferd 16931, proceed to print it by clicking the Reports field in the toolbar. This opens View to select the invoice template to use, which is the format in which the invoice should be printed. Select the Invoice Zugpferd EN 16931 template to print this invoice as a Zugpferd invoice. When printing an invoice as a Zugpferd, you can select additional documents to embed into the invoice from the list of documents which comes up. Select the documents to embed. Proceed to printing the invoice by clicking the Print button. Here is the printed invoice, which looks like a normal invoice. Once the invoice printed, the printed file gets archived for traceability. Navigate to the Archive menu to view all archived files. This shows the list of archived files, which the e-invoice profile of the archived file, and if its integrity has been compromised. Click on a record to open it. You can see details about the archive, showing the archive state, indicating if the archive is still valid or if the file has been compromised. You can verify the integrity by clicking the Verify Integrity button, which should mark it as corrupted or deleted. Click OK. Navigate back to the invoice form.
Here is the generated Zugpferd invoice file. This Zugpferd invoice looks like a normal PDF, but it has a machine processable part embedded in it. You can download it and open it with a tool that shows embedded files, or view it right in the browser if your PDF viewer supports it. Toggle the sidebar. Click Show Attachments to see the files attached to this PDF. Here are the additional files attached to it. The key one is zugfordinvoice.xml, the machine-readable part of the invoice. Let's open it. This is what that machine-readable data looks like. Alongside the XML, any extra files you chose to embed while printing are included too, so your recipient can open them for more billing detail.